One player averaged 20.5 points and 10 assists against her biggest rival. The other averaged 13.5 points and managed just one win across 5 WNBA meetings. This is every time Caitlin Clark stepped on a court with Angel Reese and made it very clear there is a pecking order in this league. Background, how we got here. Before we get into the highlights, here's the context you need. Caitlin Clark, #1 pick in the 2024 WNBA draft. Indiana Fever, the player who single-handedly dragged women's basketball into primetime. Angel Reese, #7 pick, Chicago Sky, the self-proclaimed Chi-Town Barbie who spent most of the 2024 season talking loudly and finishing softly under the rim. Their rivalry started in college. LSU beat Iowa in the 2023 NCAA Championship, and Reese spent the final seconds taunting Clark directly to her face. The internet lost its mind. Fast forward 1 year, both are in the WNBA, same conference, playing each other 4 times in 2024. And the scoreboard had something to say about whose court this actually is. Indiana won the series 3-1. Clark averaged 20.5 points, 10 assists, and 6.5 rebounds across those 4 games. Reese averaged 13.5 points and 13.3 rebounds. Angel grabbed boards. Caitlin grabbed wins. We will let you decide which one matters more. Matchup 1, February 14th, 2022.
Reese working against Sonano, using her left hand.
Yeah, I think that is a really...
Before the WNBA. Before any of it became a national story, these two met on a Tuesday night in College Park, Maryland, on Valentine's Day 2022, and Angel Reese made a statement. Maryland won 81-69. Reese finished with 25 points and 10 rebounds. Dominant, physical, in complete control of the game. Clark put up 19 points but could not carry Iowa past a Maryland team that had Reese operating at a different level from everyone else on the floor that night. This was the version of Reese that made her a top draft prospect. She was bigger, stronger, and more physical than almost anyone she faced in college. And on this night, against one of the most talented guards in the country, she showed exactly why.
Tonight making a lot of noise. Reese decides to go right at O'Grady. Missed just about everything. Rebound taken down by a falter. Here they are in transition. Clark says this is when she's at her best. Fewer back.
But here's the context. Clark was a junior, Reese was a sophomore. Nobody outside of college basketball was paying attention yet. 2 years later, they would do it again in front of 12.3 million viewers. The rivalry had to start somewhere. It started here on Valentine's Day with Reese winning by 12. Matchup 2, April 2023. The taunt that started everything, 2023 NCAA, a championship game, Louisiana Superdome, New Orleans.
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
Before any of this was a WNBA story, it was a college basketball story, and it started with a taunt. LSU beat Iowa 102-85 in the 2023 NCAA Championship. Clark finished with 30 points. Reese finished with 15 points, 10 rebounds, and a ring finger point directly in Clark's face in the closing seconds. The kind of moment that goes viral before the final buzzer even sounds. The kind of moment that follows you into the pros. Clark defended Reese afterward, said it was competitive, said she had done the same gesture earlier in the tournament. Class act. But the internet had already decided. This was a rivalry now, whether either of them wanted it or not.
Saying is, it's really, really special, and I don't think it's gonna set in for me for quite some time. I want my legacy to be the impact that I can have on young kids.
LSU celebrated. Reese had her moment, and Clark went home with one thing Reese did not have, a reason to come back hungrier. Matchup 3, April 1st, 2024. The revenge game. 2024 NCAA Elite 8 MVP Arena, Albany, New York.
The freshman Williams. A Folter running the other way, lays it in. Clark again with the get-ahead pass, and Kim Mulkey.
1 year later, same matchup, different result. Clark scored 41 points, 12 assists, 9 three-pointers, tying the NCAA tournament record. Iowa won 94-87. Reese fouled out with 1:45 left, finishing with 17 points and 20 rebounds. The game drew 12.3 million viewers, the most-watched women's college basketball game in history. That is not a regular season number. That is a Super Bowl trajectory number. And Clark was the reason every single one of those 12.3 million people tuned in.
Martin, looked like she got fouled. No call. Nearly turns it over, and now they do. Poa comes up with a steal. Here is Reese. Reese leans in, and that's a charge. And number 5.
Reese left the court. Clark kept playing. Iowa went to the Final Four. The score was settled for 1 year. Then both of them entered the WNBA draft, landed in the same conference, and the whole thing started again. Matchup 4, June 1st, 2024. Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky. Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Indianapolis. Commissioner's Cup.
Or a turnover and push pace the other way. First in the league in fast break points.
Clark connects on a deep three.
This was the first time Clark and Reese shared a WNBA court. The whole league was watching. Chicago came in loud, and Clark came out firing. She connected on a deep three in the first quarter, then found her teammates with dimes that had the Chicago bench shaking their heads. One beautiful dish down the floor to Wallace for the finish plus the foul. Another laser to Katie Lou Samuelson for 2. The first quarter had Clark's name written all over it. Chicago had no answer, and the frustration was already building. By the second quarter, Kennedy Carter specifically had no answer defensively. Clark was getting into the lane at will, beating the shot clock, reversing into the paint, and on offense, Carter was getting sloppy. Turnovers piling up. Chicago could feel the game slipping. Then the third quarter arrived and Chicago changed the game plan. They came out doubling Clark early, getting handsy, showing they were not afraid to get physical. It worked for about 30 seconds.
The ball, they understand their impact and what it has done and how they are living out their dreams today.
And right on cue.
Clark drove to the rim and Dana Evans sent her to the deck. Foul called. Clark got up. On the very next possession, Cardoso fouled Clark hard going to the rim, and Clark went down in pain, taking a brief break on the bench.
Can't finish it. Izzy Harrison does, plus the foul. Here's Kennedy.
3 players, 1 game. Evans, Cardoso, then Carter, who physically grabbed the ball out of Clark's hands after a turnover with no call from the refs. Clark looked for a whistle that never came, and then kept playing. Meanwhile, on the Chicago bench, Angel Reese was clapping when Clark hit the floor. Not for a basket, not for a play, for Clark going down. Carter was out for blood. She had already shoved Clark off the ball once with no call, and when Carter finally drained a mid-range jumper, she turned directly to Clark to let her know about it. Then she shoved Clark again. Once again, the refs let it slide. Clark came back from her bench break with a minute left in the third, intercepted a sloppy Carter pass, and kept running the game. She finished with 19 assists and 1. Reese skipped the post-game press conference and was fined $1,000 by the WNBA. Clark went to the press conference, answered every question, and moved on. One player channeled the moment into a record-breaking performance. The other got fined for hiding. Final score, Fever 71, Sky 70. Matchup 5, June 16th, 2024. Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky. Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Indianapolis.
And Dana Evans will, though, her second of the day. Trying to find some space, goes reverse style. Her first bucket.
Chicago came back 2 weeks later with the same playbook. Double Clark early, get physical, make her uncomfortable. Clark had seen it before and had a very simple answer. Pass out of the double, find the open teammate, watch them score, repeat. Kennedy Carter decided her assignment was not just to guard Clark, but to physically remove her from the game. Carter fouled her, bumped her, shoved her after whistles. The refs let some of it go. Clark let none of it affect her. But then Reese decided it was her turn. Clark drove to the basket and Reese swung her arm, catching Clark directly in the head and sending her to the floor. Refs upgraded it to a flagrant one after review.
Bonner gets denied by Boston. Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Reese's response post-game, a basketball play. It was a basketball play. I can't control the refs. Clark's response, what's going through my mind is I need to make these 2 free throws. That's all I'm thinking about. She made both. 2 games. 2 flagrant fouls on Clark from 2 different Chicago players. 2 losses for Chicago. Fever won 91-83. Clark finished with 22 points and 8 assists. Series 2-0. The plan to bully Clark into submission had produced exactly one result. More Clark threes. Matchup 6, June 23, 2024. Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky. Wintrust Arena, Chicago.
Told us we have got to find a body on Reese. Clark gets freed up.
Let's be fair. This one went to Chicago, and it went to them because Angel Reese played the best game of her career to that point. Reese finished with 25 points and 16 rebounds, a career high. Lindsay Allen was on fire too, hitting 3 straight buckets to build an early double-digit lead. Chicago came out with a 24-11 first quarter, and the Fever were scrambling. The Sky were playing their best basketball of the series, and Reese was the engine driving all of it. But here's the thing about that game. Clark still finished with 17 points and 13 assists, a team record for Indiana at the time. 7 of those 13 assists went directly to Aaliyah Boston. Clark was still the best playmaker on the floor in a road loss against a team playing their best basketball of the season.
Before Reese, what a catch and finish! Angel Reese!
The Fever clawed back. Clark kept finding open teammates, kept pushing tempo, kept making reads that had no business being attempted. Indiana got it to a tie game at 82-82 with 3 minutes left. Then with a minute remaining and the score knotted at 84, Reese hit a go-ahead layup and Chicago held on.
Squeeze it out to Allen. Allen's mid-range short. Reese another rebound. Reese flips in!
Final score, Chicago 85, Indiana 84. The only time in 5 WNBA meetings that Reese's team got the better of Clark's, and in the very next matchup, Clark came back with 31 points on Barbie night to slam the door shut. Matchup 7, August 30th, 2024. Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky. Wintrust Arena, Chicago, Barbie night. Chicago named this game Barbie night, a nod to Reese's LSU nickname, the Bayou Barbie. Shaquille O'Neal was courtside. Sue Bird was there. Megan Rapinoe was in the building. The sellout crowd of 9,445 showed up specifically to celebrate Angel Reese. Chicago had set the stage perfectly for their star.
Caitlin Clark for 3, rattles it around for her first deep shot.
Well, she's definitely taken that.
Clark scored 31 points, a career high. Indiana won 100-81. It was the largest margin of victory in Indiana's season and a season high in scoring. The Fever led by as many as 27. Reese finished with 10 points and 11 rebounds. She got her 23rd rookie double-double record with 1 minute and 32 seconds left to play, long after Clark and the other Indiana starters had already been taken out because the outcome was never in question.
It's Caitlin Clark has an and one. Shuffle pass to Allen, who looks for Reese again, but Wheeler's in the way.
Right from the start, Clark came out swinging. She immediately recognized the mismatch on the floor and isolated on it. Chicago kept up early, but Clark knew she had to put more fear in their hearts. She hit her first 3, then another, then kept threading needle passes to an open Kelsey Mitchell. 6 threes on the night, 31 points, 12 assists. 5th game of the season with at least 20 points and 10 assists, a record for a single WNBA season.
Dominant player, which is Caitlin Reese, but she also paid homage to both of those players.
While Clark was making history, Reese was missing layups, spinning off her left shoulder and walking, throwing up bricks that gave Clark all the space she needed to keep cooking. And in the 4th quarter, with the lead pushed to double digits, Clark was so comfortable she started dishing behind-the-back passes just for fun. Barbie night ended with Clark walking out of Chicago with the series clinched 3-1. The scoreboard does not care whose nickname the night was dedicated to. Matchup 8, May 17th, 2025, Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky. Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Indianapolis, 2025 season opener. The 2025 season opener, May 17th, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. 17,274 fans, the largest regular season crowd in Indiana in over a decade. 3.1 million peak viewers on ABC, the most watched WNBA regular season broadcast since 1999. All of that for one game. And from the jump, Clark was not backing down. She welcomed the contact and got the whistle, then calmly knocked down the free throws. Angel Reese was on the other end, getting to work too, driving and finishing through contact. But her trash-talking heroics quickly shut down.
Will fire, and Higgins, but Howard takes it away. Natasha Howard.
Clark did not ease into 2025. She hit the first logo bomb of the season from 30-plus feet against Angel Reese's team in front of a sold-out arena and 3.1 million viewers. The game had slowed down for her so much she was pulling up from the logo like it was a layup drill. The Clark-Boston connection was unstoppable from the opening tip. Clark hitting Boston, Boston faking and laying it in. Back to Clark, back to Boston. The chemistry was so automatic that Reese eventually gave up trying to defend it the right way and shoved Boston directly in the face going for a rebound. It did not work.
Sick before that UCLA game. That's how sick she was. Clark! She's possessed!
With 4 seconds left in the second quarter, Clark caught the ball and fired from deep without hesitation. It went in. Indiana went to the locker room up 13. The building erupted. Reese stood on the other end watching. Then came the flagrant. Reese grabbed an offensive rebound with a wide-open path to the basket. Clark made a decision. Either give up 2 easy points or send her to the free throw line. She fouled her hard. Refs upgraded it to a flagrant one after review. Reese got up immediately and walked straight at Clark. Clark turned her back and walked away. Aaliyah Boston stepped in between. Clark's response, "It's just a good take foul. Nothing malicious about it. Every basketball player knows that." Reese's response, "Basketball play, refs got it right, move on." After the flagrant, the Fever went on a 9-0 run to end the third quarter and never looked back. Clark was pushing pace, racing up the floor, finding teammates in transition. In the fourth, she threaded a laser pass through the defense to find a teammate wide open to seal it completely.
Allen, too strong on a three. And look out, Caitlin.
When Clark grabbed the final rebound that sealed her third career triple-double, she walked to mid-court and asked the crowd for more noise. They gave it to her. 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, career-high 4 blocks. Final score, Indiana 93, Chicago 58. A triple-double, broken records, a skill gap that is starting to look more like a canyon. Chicago got 1 foul call upgraded, Indiana got everything else. 8 matchups, 8 chances for Reese to figure out Caitlin Clark. The scoreboard gave the same answer every time. Some rivalries are close. This one has a clear leader. Subscribe for more.